I am Monique Leslie, aka Misfit Crafter, and I run Misfit Crafter Studio, where we love to share the crafty life with you. So today I'm going to share making these really cute little cuff bracelets using your Cricut maker. And really you can use just about any machine. And you can make just a variety of them using different things like different types of scraps and things from different materials. So you can use old scrap material, you can use something like, this is an old skirt from an old dress of my daughter's, just old jeans, old t-shirts. So what's really nice is you'll be able to use your scraps up along with using some printable vinyl. So we're gonna go ahead and get started by going over just a few of the items that you're gonna need. You do have a full list though in the link below, so that you can go ahead and grab your prints, and you can also go ahead and grab all of your supplies. So for this, pretty simple, you're gonna need your scrap material, you're gonna need printable transfer paper. So the one that I recommend, that I like to use, is HTV Ront's printable heat transfer vinyl is what you're going to want. You're not going to want just regular transfer paper. You want the heat transfer vinyl. So they come for light and dark fabrics, just depending on the fabric you're going to get. If there's more print, definitely the one for the dark. If it's a solid color, not too much going on with it, then go ahead and just get the light fabric one. You're also going to need a tool to add these little snaps on. I have the one I recommend in the little packet that you can get below as well. But this is just a little tool that comes with all the things you need to set your snaps. It also comes with a variety of different snaps. You're just going to want some. You don't need the whole variety if you really don't want to. That's okay. You're also either going to need an iron or a heat press, just something to press everything down with. If you're going to use one of the intricate designs, you may also want some heat transfer tape. So make sure it's heat transfer tape, not regular transfer tape, or you can cause meltage and all kinds of damage that way. You don't want to do that. Again, anything that I use, I recommend, is going to be included with the printout that you can get. You can either print it out or you can use it online. It'll link you right to it. Now you're also going to want something to bond your pieces together, because you're going to use two pieces of fabric so that everything gets like just a little bit stiffer, so they're not so flimsy feeling. So I recommend the Heat and Bond Ultra Bond. You can use this if you're not going to sew at all. If you prefer to sew, then I would still recommend getting like the light version so that you can sew your edges if you want to, but really absolutely not necessary. You're of course just going to need some scissors or something to cut with. You're going to need the printable that I provide that gives you all the different little designs in there. You're going to need your Cricut. If you like, there's some optional things like fray check to help with the little edges if you want to fray out your edges really cute. You're going to need something just to weed out your vinyl, because it is still vinyl and you're going to want to weed it. Other than that, the usual scraper, things like that you'll already have on hand. You're also going to want either some parchment paper or just some loose regular printer paper so that we can protect our surfaces when we do everything. If you have a heat mat, that works perfect. If you don't, you can get a towel. All right, so what we're going to do is first get started with using our Cricut design space to go ahead and print and cut our designs out. Okay, so we'll be back right after that to then prep our bracelets once we have everything cut out. So we'll be right back. All right, let's get started by prepping our cut files. So you should, if you haven't already, go ahead and download the files that I provided. You'll get several different designs in your on the link below, so go ahead and make sure you grab those and download them. So what we're going to do is just start by creating a new project. Pretty straightforward and simple. We are going to upload our images. I've already uploaded them. When you get your files, they are going to be zipped, so make sure you unzip them or else you're not going to find them in your files. When you go to upload them here, they'll look like they disappeared. So make sure you unzip them before trying to upload them to Design Space. So I've already uploaded a bunch of the designs that I provided, so I'm going to go ahead and just add those straight to our Design Space. All right, so you should have 8 designs in total, and 2 of your designs are actually going to be just regular cut files. So I am just going to put those aside for now. Those are there extra if you want to use regular vinyl with your bracelets. I'll show you some examples of the ones with the regular one later on, but we're going to just put those aside. Okay, the biggest thing you really want to do is just make sure that you size them correctly. So you just want to make sure that they are under 2 inches wide and under 8 inches long, and you'll be great. So we're going to go ahead and just size all of these out and to make sure that they're all the same. And don't forget, you can just use the little sizer at the top. Okay, once you have them all sized down to about 1.75 or just under 2 inches, more than enough. I just put them at 1.75 because some of these I'm going to want to go ahead and put an offset on. Now, the ones I'm going to put an offset on are either the ones that have very thin branches or have very small intricate cuts. So the ones with small intricate cuts, I don't want to sit here while my Cricut is cutting each one of these tiny little holes out. So I just add an offset. For these particular ones, I recommend 0.22. That seems to be more than enough, and it just makes a tiny border around the side. Like I said, I'm sorry, 0.022. There we go. It's a very, very, very small border, but it gives it just enough. It always gives you black first, so you can go ahead and change it to whatever color you want. And I'm gonna make mine a very light blue color, just to blend in, blue gray. All right, and then once you get all your offsets done on all of them, you just wanna make sure you flatten. So go ahead and do your offsets. You can go ahead and pause here if you like, and then when we come back, we'll go ahead and cut these. All right, so welcome back. So now that I have all my offsets and everything's flattened, everything's ready to go. These two I'm not gonna cut for now, so I'm gonna go ahead and just eliminate the regular vinyl cuts. We're gonna concentrate just on the actual print and cut versions. So just remember, print and cut has a size limitation, but if you stick to the under 2 inches, you'll be fine. All right, so don't forget to save your work if you wanna keep these for later. But we're just going to go ahead and make them. Okay, once Design Space starts to sort everything out, like I said, it's going to try to give you like the biggest piece of paper possible. Most people are either going to have A4 or a letter size paper. So go ahead and choose that. It's going to resort everything out. But I can tell you they all fit on one A4 or 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So if you want to, go ahead and move these to the other mat. So when you're done, you're just going to go ahead and send them to your printer, and then we're going to go ahead and cut them on the maker. Now, after sending them to your printer, I do suggest using the system dialog and leaving the bleed on. This will give you a nice border. And then just using the system dialog on there. Mine is an Epson. Your printable HTV is going to have directions if you get the one that I recommend. If not, I do recommend using, if you have like a presentation mat paper or a photo paper mat. For the Epson, I choose presentation paper mat just on the regular standard print because these aren't very intricate, super intricate designs, and they come out really nice. So once I have that, I just hit OK. And for this, there is no need to mirror. So just so you know, there's no need to mirror when it comes to printable HTV. What you see is what you get. We're not reverse printing on this. So you're just going to go ahead and print that out. Once you have that all printed out, we're going to go ahead and choose printable vinyl for our selection. So make sure you're using printable vinyl. Pressures at default is fine. If your blade's running a little dull, go ahead and add some more pressure, but default pressure on printable vinyl works perfectly with the HTV rod printable vinyl. So go ahead and leave it there. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and run this through the machine and then we'll come back. Let the Cricut do its thing. While the Cricut is doing its thing and cutting everything up, it's going to take a little while depending on how many you've actually chosen to cut at once. But like I said, I suggest cutting a whole sheet, and everything I gave you will cut an entire sheet. Now we're going to go ahead and let it run, and then we are going to go ahead and prep our bracelets while the Cricut is running. All right, so we'll come back when it's done. So, couple of things to keep in mind. We're going to need two pieces. We're going to want a top piece and we're going to want a base layer. So for these two, this one is just a muslin scrap and this has a t-shirt inside. This is from an old skirt. It's just a cotton piece, and underneath I actually used felt for the background. This one you can use whatever you'd like. So for the ones we're going to be making, you're basically going to want to cut your strips about 2 to 2.5 inches wide. And this is my mat's all a mess because all of the fabric scraps, but 2 to 2.5 inches wide by about 10 to 12 inches long, just to get started. And then you're going to want to go ahead and measure your wrist. So what you're going to do is just measure where you're going to want to place this on your wrist. Okay. And you're just going to mark where you see it end, so you know exactly how long you're going to need it. Mine is about 8 inches, and then you're going to add an extra inch. So we discussed that a little earlier when we were prepping our prints, but like I said, you're going to add about an extra inch on there so that you have enough to wrap it around and add your snaps, because you need the area for your snaps. So I'm going to leave this one at about 9.5 inches just for the purposes for today, because it can be made for anyone. And then you're going to want a backer piece of the inner lining, whatever you choose to be your inner lining. You're going to want to go ahead and cut it to be exactly the length that you have around. So I'm going to cut this one down 1/4 inch, and I'm just going to use my Peking shears. It's not necessary. You don't have to have Peking shears to do this. But I just like it because it makes a nice clean finished inside. It's not too big of a deal. So I made that just a little bit smaller on the inside. Now this one is a bit of a stretchy fabric, so when I glue it, I am going to make it a little stretched out. Okay, so once you have all your fabric pieces cut, we'll come back and we'll go ahead and put these together. So go ahead and cut a bunch of fabric pieces so that you have some available for you, especially if you want to make a few of these at a time. Pause the video right here. We'll come back and we'll go ahead and assemble everything. All right, so now we're back. We're going to go ahead and get our scrap pieces ready. Your Cricut should be done or just about done cutting everything up. Right here, you're going to want to go ahead and warm up your Cricut press. Now, again, your heat transfer vinyl is going to have directions on it if you're going to use the one that I recommend. It will have, it actually does come with directions on using a regular iron or a heat press. So if you do end up with this one, it does give you both options. So it tells you basically medium to high heat or high heat depending on your fabric. It really goes off of your fabric mostly. I'm going to use the one for the press, which says between 320 and 338, and you're going to press for about 10 to 15 seconds for the heat transfer vinyl. And so you're going to want to get your press ready to that, to whatever your heat transfer vinyl is going to tell you to use. But first, what we're going to do is actually attach our Heat and Bond. So if you're going to use the Heat and Bond Ultra, it recommends about 2 seconds just to put the base layer on, and then after that 8 seconds to finish the adhering. So what we're going to do is we're going to prep our Heat and Bond by just cutting a strip. It's about the same size as your base, so you want it to fit your full size of your base sheet. There it is. That's my one that I have pre-cut already. I do need to trim the edges just a little bit. I recommend just trimming them after to clean it up. but if you can get that basically to cover your whole inside, you should be good to go. All right, so this is where your parchment paper or just even a regular piece of paper comes into play. This will help prevent any of the heat and bond from adhering to your heat mat if you have it, or towel, or whatever else you're going to be using. So the first thing we're going to do is, while your machine is heating up, because it doesn't have to be perfectly heated quite yet, we're going to go ahead and just heat our surface up just to give us a little hand in the heating. Just a few second little rub. All right. And then we're gonna get our base piece. So this is gonna be our back piece, the one that's going to go on the inside. And we're just gonna place down a piece of parchment or something just to keep it from getting onto your mat. And usually what I do is just fold it in half long ways like that. It's usually pretty long enough. So we're gonna put that in place, and we're gonna just put our bonding sheet in there. We're gonna put that down, and we are gonna hold that right on there for 1-2 seconds. And that's it. And then I just do a quick rub back and forth. Oops. Bring that back over here. Take that out. Let that cool off just a little there. All right. I'm gonna put that off to the side, have like a cool little mat right here on the table, whatever it is, to let it cool off for a second. And then you're gonna go ahead and prep your front piece, which is gonna be the part that shows on the outside. Just iron it out if you haven't ironed it out already. Just go ahead and iron it out, get it nice and flat. All right, and that's all nice and ready. All right, we're gonna get this guy again. So I'm gonna put this down, have another piece to put on top, doesn't matter. We're gonna open that up. All right, this should pretty much be cooled by now. It doesn't take that long. All right, so once that's done, before you cut this off, or it doesn't really matter if you do it before or after, just trim off any excess that you see. And I am just using my Peking shears again, just to make sure that I got a nice finished edge, because I noticed that mine was just a little wide. And I'm not doing it that neat, honestly. Right, but you just don't want to make sure that you don't have any of the heat and bond on the other side. Go ahead and peel off the backer piece, comes right off, so it's nice and prepped. I can see lint underneath, so you might want to get a lint roller and just kind of go over your fabric, but no biggie. All right, so now that we have the fabric, you're gonna put the fabric face down. You're gonna put your backer piece on, and you're just gonna center it so that you have that little border if you want the border, and if not, just go ahead and make sure you line it up the best you can. Mine had a little extra on the end, so ignore that little extra. Then we're just gonna put that down, and this time we're gonna hold it for 8 seconds. So do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And of course, if you have a heat press, you can put your timer on. I just didn't want to change it from the other one for now. And I'm just doing a quick little over. And we're gonna go ahead and let that cool off again. All right, so go ahead and prep all your pieces. You're gonna get everything front and back covered, trim everything nicely up, and make as many as you want. And when you're ready, go ahead and come back, and you're going to want to weed out your Cricut cuts after this. So because your cut should be done. We're back, and our Cricut is definitely done. So while your prepped pieces are getting all pulled off and they're sitting on the side, ready for us to put our Cricut cut pieces on, we're going to go ahead and show you just a little bit something when you are peeling up your printable vinyl. You're going to want to be careful because it is it's a thick thin, I don't know how to explain it, but it almost feels like a balloon, like a latex balloon, but really thin. So you're going to want to just very carefully peel this away so that you don't rip any tiny pieces, and so you don't rip away anything that you're going to need. So just very carefully peel this off. So what I want you guys to do is just go ahead And pause one more time. Go ahead and prep your vinyl if you haven't already. All right, so welcome back. I'm just finishing up peeling off all of my vinyl. Okay, so once you have everything all nice and weeded out, go ahead and choose your design. I'm gonna go with this little starfish, what is it, sand dollar starfish little cluster that we have here. So you can go ahead and just remove it from your mat. And then you're just gonna wanna cut around the design that you wanna use. There we go. Okay, this is where your heat transfer vinyl transfer tape comes in, or your HTV transfer tape comes in. So I already have, I think I have, yeah, there you go. I already have one nice and pre-cut. It doesn't really matter as long as it's big enough to cover what you're going to be using. But super simple, just make sure that you have all your pieces nicely weeded out. If you're not sure, just run your hands over. If you feel a little rough area, just kind of scratch it with your nail. You'll probably find where you may have missed, if you missed anything. But you're definitely going to want this if it is an intricate design that has really small pieces. You're going to want the heat transfer tape so that you can move it over to your piece a little bit easier. Otherwise, you can actually peel bigger designs that don't have, like, especially if it's like big square pieces or anything. Like for instance, the shirt that I did, I was able to really just pull off the big turtle on its own, but the bubbles I had to use this for. So we're just going to put that on there. Now that you have that and we have all of our pieces prepped, you can do this for all of your designs if you want to pre-prep them all or do them one by one. This is really fun. This is great for the kids even to help if you want to get your kids in. But go ahead and just peel that off. You can see it comes right off. And again, like I said, anything that I use, I have recommend is going to be in the link. 1 inch from one of the edges and then center it. Whatever side that you decide is your overly 1 inch, that's going to be where we're going to put our snaps onto. So you might want to move it over just a tad. Okay, so once that is on, like I said, for the heat transfer vinyl that I'm using with the HTV rod, mine is the Martha Stewart Cricut press. That one I have at 330 by 15 seconds, which is also the same as the Easy Press 2. If you're using the little Cricut press like this, the little guy, you're gonna put it in the second mark. And that's more than enough for this. And it's at 15 seconds. All right, so one more time, because I was talking for a bit. Now you're going to want to make sure that you put something down on the surface again, because you still have that, you still have your heat and bond under there, and it could end up going down even further. So once you have that on, not a big deal. All right, all done. So you're just gonna go ahead and wipe back and forth. After that, you're gonna turn it over and just do one quick wipe again, like that. And of course, if you're using something smaller or smaller iron, you're gonna probably have to do that a few times, but if not, it's pretty much it. So then this is going to be a cool peel for this one. So we're gonna go ahead and move our mat out of the way so we don't have any more heat going on, and let that cool off. While that's happening, you can go ahead and choose your snaps, and I'll show you how to put that on. So we're gonna need our snap tool. And if you get the snap tool that I recommend, it comes, like I said, in a whole kit. It comes with a bunch of different bottoms and different pieces like this, so that you're able to do different types of snaps. Now, I had put on metal snaps earlier, so I know I'm gonna have to change out one of these, but it'll tell you which ones you need to use depending on the type of snap you're gonna use. Yeah, we'll use some pink ones. All right, so these particular plastic caps, you know, they're the cap because it's a smooth side on one side and super pointy on the other side, so please be careful. They are very pointy. So you're gonna need 4 caps. You're gonna need 2 sockets. And 2 studs. So make sure you have everything. So 2 sockets, 2 studs, and 4 caps. So we're gonna go ahead and get those, put them aside. That I've seen will come with the pokey tool and all your other bits. And it's super, super simple. So this should be nice and cooled off now. You're gonna go ahead and peel it and try to do it kind of at a 90-degree angle so that you're just pulling that straight off, nice and gently. Also, I definitely recommend this one that I have put in my recommendations because it doesn't peel off any of the ink. You see some of that's already fraying up on there. Okay, so once that's placed, you're going to go ahead and remember what side you chose to be the outside snap. So it's the one that's going to snap over like that. And you're going to go ahead and get the two pieces close together with an inch overlay. So you want an inch, a little bit of an overlay right here, like that. Make sure it's an inch on both sides. Basically gives you just enough room for the snap so it's not too crazy. So then you're going to use your little pokey tool and you're going to mark it together with them on top of each other so that this way you know exactly where those snaps are going to join together. So make sure you poke them at the same time. And about a 1/2 inch in and a 1/2 inch over is about the perfect spot for that. And you want 2 of them here. You can do it with 1, but I don't recommend it. All right, so once you have all your holes put in place, the one that's going to be on the outside, you're going to put your caps on the outside and just poke them through. Once you make the hole, I just get my nail behind there and just kind of push them through. And I put all these in place first. I put all my caps in place first just so that they're marking everything for me. Now the other one goes, the opposite side will go on the inside out. So you're gonna go ahead and put everything in on the inside out. And go ahead and push that through. And just poke it through like that, okay? So once you have everything the way you want it laid, now the one that goes on the outside, the one you see on the outside, those are gonna get this little one that goes to the top, which is called your socket. I'm sorry, this one's called your stud, not your socket. So this is the stud. This is the part that kind of pops up almost like a little well. It has a little deep walled well. All right, now your socket is the one that it goes down into, and that's gonna go on the other side. So you can kind of just push them down with your hand for now. And it's just to put them in place for now. It's not gonna keep them permanently in place. You need the tool. So the tool is kind of positioned like this. It's where the metal base piece is down here, like a deep well, and then you have the handle that you push down on. And it's really simple. The cap will kind of like fall into that, and then you just give it a good squeeze until you base. But that's all there is to it. You go ahead and snap those pieces together. Give it a good test run. All right, so now that we made all our bracelets, and as you can see, we've been having fun in my house, definitely making a few. And remember, you also have the 2 files that give you the regular vinyl pieces. So if you want to do one with regular vinyl, this is how that comes out. It's really good for something that's maybe printed like this. Jeans, everything. And of course the one that we just made, which is super cute. So if you haven't already, be sure to grab the all access pass. If you get the all access pass, you're going to get the same graphic that I used for making my shirts, an exclusive little graphic set that's going to give you the full turtle, which is a nice big design that I designed myself. And you're also going to get 2 extra ones. You're going to get the one to make the bracelet, plus you're going to get one that you can add to like shoes or tennis shoes or anything else that you want. So you get these little extras and everything matches. So if you get the all access pass, you're going to have these included. So make sure you grab that if you haven't already. And then also, if you'd like to check me out anywhere else, again, I am Misfit Crafter on all social media. You can also check out my website, Misfit Crafter Studio, where I also host my blog on there, Misfit Crafter. And you can find me everywhere with Misfit Crafter. Plus, if you want to, you can grab a little freebie that I'm offering as well, which is the Cricut Design Space Print Then Cut Tips and Tricks Guide. So it looks small, but it's actually packed full of a ton of information to get you through the print and cut process. Just my best tips and tricks for making sure that that comes out good. So I hope you enjoyed everything. Thanks for joining. I'll catch you next time, and don't forget to live that crafty life.